Hey, everybody, welcome to Tim's Vinyl Confessions. I'm Tim Derling, and we're doing a familiar theme, but I've got a first time co host, although I've been on shows with this gentleman many times before. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Paul Simon, how you doing?
Thanks for having me, Tim. Can't wait for this.
Uh,
My era.
Paul and I have been on Rush fans many times together. I think you can tell by the background, Paul's got a fair amount of Rush. Yeah, unfortunately, uh, there's nothing to do with Rush on the episode that we're doing, but hey, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. People love these episodes, and I love doing them. And Paul actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, if you ever do one of those, I'd love to sit in." So hey, I try to be accommodating. So what we're doing is we're going back in time 40 years. Uh, February the 8th, 1985. Yes, 40 years. Oh man. We are going to recount the Billboard Hot 100 from this particular date 40 years ago. And this is really exciting because this particular set of songs, it was really early 1985 when me as a young kid really started listening to top 40 radio and paying attention to songs and really trying to take in the information, like who sings what songs and what are their names. And so, the top half of this countdown I know quite well, but there are quite a few songs here that I go, don't know that one. So this should prove to be a lot of fun. Now, I would have been 10, I think, at this time, 10 going on 11. Paul, what do you recall back early 1985?
This was my bread and butter. I was 12 with this countdown, and I started listening to Casey Kasem doing America's Top 40.
Yeah.
And the minute I found out there were more than 40, I wanted to know about the other 60 that were involved. So I was constantly riding my bike to the record store, grabbing the weekly countdowns and the songs. I actually love the bottom half of this, so I'm glad that's going to balance out pretty well.
I love I'm intrigued by the bottom half of it. And yeah, it didn't occur to me that you could just go out and see the chart. I don't remember seeing Billboard magazine in stores. I mean, I'm in Eastern Canada, but I grew up right on the U.S. border, so I listened to Casey Kasem and Rick Dees as much as anything, right? Um, but yeah, the idea of there being more songs out there. How could there be more than 40? Uh, it was just such a learning experience. But yeah, I love the fact that you get these songs that maybe jog your memory, but they didn't make the top 40. I mean, just a few weeks ago, Grant and I did an episode on our favorite songs from the 80s that just missed the top 40. I'm always intrigued by that. What are the factors that lead into, what makes a hit, right? So we're going to go through this countdown, and since it's his first time on TVC, I'm going to let Paul start us off with the number 100 song this week back in 1985.
All right, number 100, we got Strut from Sheena Easton, down from 91 the week before, peaked at number 7.
At number 99, this was one of the biggest songs of 1984. This week, it's spending its last week in the chart. I would imagine Stevie Wonder, I Just Called to Say I Love You, dropped 6 to number 99 this week. Well, these first few, they're all drops. There's no debuts or no climbs at this point.
Yeah, Woman in Red, right, for this one? The
That's right.
movie?
Yeah.
A lot of movie songs on this one. That's one thing I noticed when I was looking it over. 98, Centipede from Reby Jackson. I loved this song so much. The keyboard line was infectious. Written, arranged, produced by Michael.
Yeah. Reby was the oldest of the Jackson siblings, correct? The oldest of the Jackson sisters, right? And this was her only hit. It peaked at 24. So thus was the power of Michael Jackson that even Reby had a hit.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of these songs, man, they just take me right back. For example, number 97. I love this song. Paul McCartney from Give My Regards to Broad Street. No More Lonely Nights. Uh, One of his biggest hits of the 80s, I would say, peaked at number 6. This week it drops to 97.
I had this single too. I dug everywhere, can't find it, so it's somewhere in a box. But number 96, Cyndi Lauper, All Through the Night. I think this was the fourth single off She's So Unusual.
I
Uh,
think so, yeah.
yeah, remake from Jules Shear,
Joel
and he
Shear, yeah.
actually sings the low harmonies on this version. Another one I
Yeah.
love.
Yeah, and this one was interesting. This peaked at number 5, but correct me if I'm wrong, there was no video for this song.
Correct.
This was still a period where every once in a while there'd be a song sneak through and become a big hit without a video. Now, normally it had to be a big star to have that happen. You kind of needed a video at this point. Number 95. Now, I don't know this song. I used to have this album. It's from his first solo album, Girls with Guns. Tommy Shaw and Lonely School drops from 79 to 95 this week and only peaked at 60.
Yeah, I saw him do this on American Bandstand to take you back a little bit too.
Yes,
So I
there
do
you
remember.
go. Yep.
And 94, I Can't Hold Back from Survivor, down from 75, and it peaked at a 13.
This stuff's like ear candy to me. I love most of Survivor stuff, but this song is just like, yeah, that's that's the good stuff. Number 93. This is an interesting song. This was actually originally from 78 and it got reissued in 84 because he was, a bigger star. It's Rick Springfield and a song that peaked at number 27. The song is called Bruce, and it's a song about him being mistaken for Bruce Springsteen. And what's funny about it is that these two guys are pretty much the same age, but their birthdays are exactly a month apart. If I've got this right, I think Rick Springfield's birthday is August 22nd, 1949, and Springsteen was born September 22nd, 1949.
That's awesome.
How weird is that, right? Like, weird little musical coincidences.
92, we got Wake Me Up Before You Go from Wham, down from 77 the week before, and obviously peaked at number 1, it being Wake Me Up Before You Go.
Yeah.
So weird to see this song so far down, but obviously after 23 weeks on the chart, it definitely had its due.
Well, that's just it. I mean, you didn't get to hear there was no 10-hour top 100 show. So yeah, there'd be a lot of songs that you'd figure would have been long off the charts that were still hanging in there. That's what we've got going on here. At number 91. Now this is interesting because I recognize the title of this song, and I think there's other versions of it, but Barbra Streisand with Kim Carnes, and the song's called Make No Mistake, He's Mine, peaked at number 51. Now, I'm positive that there's a male version of this called Make No Mistake, She's Mine, and I almost think it's Kenny Rogers and somebody.
You're correct. I had to look it up. I never knew it, but you are correct.
Okay.
I can't remember who it was, though. Yeah, I pulled up the video, not even the music was clicking with me. So yeah, ironically, the first song going up the chart is When the Rain at number 90, When the Rain Begins to Fall, Jermaine Jackson and Pia Zadora, up from 95 to 90, second week on the chart, from the movie Voyage of the Rock Aliens. Now, when I said there were a lot of movie songs, I didn't mean they were all good, but I remember this video because why can't we just solve our problems in a West Side Story type fight? Dance off.
It just sounds like a B movie to me. Was she in it? Because I know she acted.
Yeah. well, okay, acting, you're using a real stretch on that one.
She was cast in the movie.
There it is. She appears on screen. Yeah.
Number 89. Now, this is surprising to me that this song got enough airplay to hit the top 100. He's one of Canada's best-known singer-songwriters. But Bruce Cockburn, If I Had a Rocket Launcher, new at 89 this week. I don't think it got very high, but the last line in this song, I can't imagine too many radio stations playing Some Son of a Bitch Would Die.
They faded it a lot when it was played.
There you go.
That I remember.
There you go.
Because I'm all 12-year-old, did he just say son of a bitch? And yeah, most of the time it got faded out.
But then you go tee hee hee because you know.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, 88. Got to Get You Home Tonight from Eugene Wilde. Stayed at 83 this week, and no, down from 83. Pardon me, and it peaked at 83. This one is a complete mystery to me.
I don't know this artist. Yeah, this is the first one where I've never even heard of the artist. There's a few like this.
Yeah,
not many. Number 87. I believe this would have been from Eddie and the Cruisers. John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band. It was a top 40 single, definitely not their best known. Peaked at 31. The song is called Tender Years. It's down from 72.
Yeah.
Can't think of how this one goes. I'm sure I've heard it.
It was reissued because I know the song was originally released in 83, and then when they grabbed John Cafferty and Beaver Brown Band for Eddie and the Cruisers, they put Tender Years on there, so yeah.
Yeah.
Number 86, new on the chart this week, Radioactive from The Firm. You'd mentioned in one of your previous episodes that the Honey Drippers was your first exposure to Robert Plant.
Yep.
Radioactive was my first exposure to Jimmy Page.
Same
So,
here. I mean, well, I guess Jimmy Page was on Sea of Love, but I didn't know that.
get me
He's not in the video, but yeah, this is my first exposure to, Jimmy Page, Paul Rogers, Chris Slade,
Slade,
Tony Franklin. Here's the thing that I've said this before: The Firm should have been so much better. Like, I think Radioactive's a cool song, but I had both those albums. They're not very good. They're boring. They're like Latter Day Bad Company, like the last few Bad Company albums with Paul Rogers. They're just one or two good songs, and the rest is eh. So
Agreed.
yeah, there was some star power in that band. But the next song I do remember, and for some reason I seem to think Mutt Lange had something to do with this, but I don't know if I'm right about that. Yeah,
Mutt Lange wrote it.
Roman Holiday is the band. One Foot Back in Your Door. I think that this was on the Teacher's soundtrack.
Very good.
So actually, so was the next song.
I was going to say, speaking of which, at 84, Understanding from Bob Seger, down from 63 the week before. And yeah, this is one of, I want to say, no, okay, I think these are the only two from Teacher's soundtrack on this countdown. But you had Night Ranger, you had ZZ Top, you had 38 Special.
Freddie Mercury, Eric Martin. It was a pretty good soundtrack, actually. Yeah. Number 83, I do remember this song because this did not turn out to be a big hit, but my parents had the cassette of this because I think they really liked this song. It was like a doo-wop. Of course, it's Manhattan Transfer, Baby Come Back to Me. And it's only at 83 this week, up from 87. I don't think it's very charted much higher, but I actually do remember this song.
Got me on that one because Manhattan Transfer was a complete mystery to me, probably because I don't know that they poked through the top 40. So at least here in the U.S.
Their best known song is probably The Boy from New York City. Like that was their calling card, I think.
Yeah, I heard all of them plenty, but never bothered digging in. Here's where I embarrassed myself. At number 82, down from 61 the week before, Deep Purple with Knocking at Your Back Door. I have never dug deep into Deep Purple, only because I was so into 80s pop at that age. Simply wasn't around. I know, obviously, their history in classic rock, but never really jumped too hard.
This wouldn't have meant anything to me at this time. Now I think this is one of their absolute best songs, and Perfect Strangers is one of their best albums, and they were on a comeback. And I'm surprised this got as high as 61. It's not a pop song by any stretch. I think it's a great song, but I was surprised to find it got as high as 61. That's how excited people were to have Deep Purple back, I guess. Number 81, this song gives me chills because I think more than any other of his songs, he sounds so much like his father on this. Julian Lennon Ballad, title song from his first album. Peaked at number 9. This week it's down from 55 to 81. Julian Lennon. This it's uncanny. Like not everything he sings sounds like his father, but this song so sounds like something John Lennon would have sang.
Agreed. And video by Sam Peckinpah.
Wow.
Yeah, that threw me.
I'm sorry, but you don't get that name directing your very first video if you weren't the child.
Unless you're somebody.
Yeah.
All right, number 80, we got Second Nature from Dan Hartman, which was, I think, his next single, not the follow-up, but his next single after I Can Dream About You.
Yeah, it was either that one or We Are the Young. I do remember this song very, very vaguely. Dan Hartman, I mean, he's that guy was everywhere. I mean, he had hits on the disco charts. He was in the Edgar Winter Band. He produced. But yeah, number 79. This is like growing up. My mother was a big Kenny Rogers fan. Well, still is actually. I don't remember this song, Kenny Rogers and Crazy. It's only up 2 to 79, but by this point, I don't think he was crossing over to the pop chart as much as he was 4 or 5 years before this.
Yeah, I didn't remember it either. I remember him, but not for this song by any stretch of the imagination. So, 78 entering the chart this week, Holy Anna from Toto. I actually had to look it up because it did not chart that high. Obviously coming off total 4 from the previous year. This album didn't do so great, and this song as a single didn't do so great. So I had to look it up.
This is my favorite Toto album, Isolation. I love it.
Is it?
It's my favorite Toto album. This is an odd choice for a song, for a single. It's the closing song, and it's the follow up to Stranger in Town, one of my favorite Toto songs ever. But there were so many great songs on Isolation that they could have gone with. They could have gone with the ballad, How Does It Feel? They could have gone with the title song. They could have gone with Carmen, the first. This is a weird, and the videos, they didn't do great videos. I mean, yeah. Lukather will tell you that. But yeah, this is a strange choice of a single, and I'm not surprised it didn't chart very high. This next song is interesting because this song, I don't know it. I know another song of his that came out the next year that was a huge hit. But this song was actually a top 20 single in Canada, but not the case in the States, which is surprising because he's American. And usually that's not how it works. But it's Jermaine Stewart, and the song's called The Word Is Out. It's up 5 this week to 77.
Saying as much as Jermaine Stewart was known for "We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off," I always go to the Weekend at Bernie's song a couple years later, "Hot and Cold." That's my favorite Jermaine Stewart
okay.
song. So
okay.
This one was a total mystery to me, as is the next one, number 76, "Rainforest" from Paul Hardcastle. The only song I ever heard on U.S. radio from Paul Hardcastle was 19, which is a couple months later.
19.
Exactly.
Yeah. 76 down to 8, and it peaked. Well, I don't know where it peaked. This is where it is this week, but yeah. Next song, 20 weeks in the chart, was a number 1 song, Daryl Hall, John Oates, Out of Touch. It's down to 75 this week. And again, this is another song I figured would have fallen out of the chart by now, but we're down, we're in the weeds here on the bottom rungs of the chart.
Yep. And I got the same thing with number 74, down from 67 the week before. "I Feel For You" from Chaka Khan, 23 weeks in the chart, peaked at number 3. That song was everywhere, so another one that was definitely still hanging on.
Yeah. Number 73, this was a minor hit for Elton John, peaked at 38, from his album Breaking Hearts, called In Neon. I do know this song, mostly because my dad had the cassette of Breaking Hearts, but I do remember hearing this song, but not for a long, long time. This is not one of his recurrent hits.
Yeah, I didn't even recognize it by name, let alone when I gave it a listen. On the other hand, as you had mentioned, top of the episode, 72, "Sea of Love" from the Honey Drippers, down from 52 the week before, peaked at number 3 and had 18. This is its 18th week on the chart.
Number 71, a guy that has had a lot of hits in various incarnations, but he didn't have a consistent solo career of hits. John Waite and the song "Restless Heart." It's up from 78 to 71 this week. I don't think this one cracked the top 40.
No, it didn't. I do remember this song. What I didn't know was that this is the 3rd single off of the album, No Breaks. But the second single was a Peter Criss cover.
Tears. Yeah, that's
Tears.
right. Yeah, so Vinnie Vincent and Adam Mitchell wrote it. Yeah.
Yep. So that was a bit of a shock to me. Don't know the next one. I know who George Benson is at number 70 with 2020, down from number 48. So big drop on this song. I didn't recognize the song at all, but it spent 9 weeks on at this point on the chart.
Yeah, artists like, George Benson weren't, it was just a new age in pop music, right? Artists like this weren't charting very high. This song peaked at 48. So at number 69, I'm not familiar with this song either. This was a band that was, I think, on their second lead singer at this point. I think this was the John Farnham years for Little River Band, "Playing to Win." It's up from 73 to 69 this week.
Yeah, I didn't know. I knew the other guy off the Greatest Hits, but I never heard this was the next single, next album. Yeah. And didn't know it. 68, "Invitation to Dance," Kim Carnes. This one I actually do remember. This is, where we at? Up 1 point from 69 last week, 4th week on the chart. This was part of a compilation movie. It was written specifically for the movie That's Dancing, which was like a compilation film. Gene Kelly, Sammy Davis Jr., all that. And this was the end credits song.
Okay. I don't recognize this. I mean, Kim Carnes, I knew who that is, but I didn't know this song. Next one was a huge hit, "Animotion" and "Obsession." 67 up from 76, and somebody big wrote this song, and I'm
Michael
trying
DeBar.
to. Well, who is it?
Michael DeBar and Holly Knight.
Yes, I knew that. Yeah, I knew the song anyway. But years later, I found okay, there's some star power there. But yeah, big song. I mean, this would go on to be a top 5, I think.
Yep. All right. At 66, another one that went completely over my head. Yo Little Brother from Nolan Thomas. It's, up from number 70, peaked at 66, 6 weeks on the chart. Complete mystery to me.
The only reason I've heard of this song, there is an excellent. There was an excellent series, blog series, and I'm trying to think of what it was called. Bear with me now. I think if you go on Google and type in "Pop Dose Bottom Feeder," this guy named I want to get his name here. Oh boy, why can't I find his name? Dave Steed. He did this series in like 2008, 2009, where he was going through every single song that charted between 41 and 100
Oh,
on
excellent.
Billboard. And
Yeah.
this was a song he was talking about. And you know, we're getting to songs here that either if you weren't a fan of this particular artist and had the album, or if you were listening to the radio at that particular time on the few stations that were playing it, otherwise you're not going to know these songs. Now, this next song, I know the artist, I don't know the song. Kim Wilde, up 3 with "Go For It." I don't know this song.
Same here. Me neither on that one. I know Kim, again, no Kim Wilde, don't know Go For It.
Yeah.
Next one, couldn't go anywhere without hearing this in many places. Another In the Weeds song, Do They Know It's Christmas from Band Aid. Down from 49 the week before. What the big surprise for me was that this peaked at 13 in the US. I would have guessed much higher. So
Yeah, it's
on the chart.
interesting. I think by the time it hit the charts, it was after Christmas, so it was, I don't know. But yeah, it is interesting. But I mean, obviously, it's a perennial, right?
Yep.
Number 63. This was a big hit. I get it in my head just reading the title. New Edition and "Cool It Now." Big drop, down from 44 to 63.
And almost as big a drop. And one of my favorite songs on this entire
I
countdown.
love this song.
Do It Again from the
love
Kinks,
this
down
song.
from 41. I remember them doing this on Saturday Night Live along with Word of Mouth. My brother and I watching that. I loved Come Dancing, which was my first real exposure. I have Lola as a single, but it's the as a 45, but it's the flip side is You Really Got Me. So it's one of those classic reissues.
Yeah.
But Come Dancing was huge to me. So when Do It Again came on, I'm like, ooh, more from these guys, and love this 10 times more.
Yeah,
So
this should have been this peaked at 41. It's such a great song. I remember
That's a
seeing the
travesty.
video. I distinctly remember seeing the video. Ray Davies was like busking.
Yeah, the one man
He was like
band.
a one-man
type
band
outfit.
with
Yep.
the hat and the harmonica but what a great rock song. I just love it. And you know, it's a shame. It's a great song.
Absolutely.
Number 61. I do remember this. It was one of the. I don't think it was the hugest hit from Purple Rain, but Prince and the Revolution with Apollonia. Take Me With You. The letter U, of course. That debuts this week at 61. There you go.
Naturally, gonna see this one a lot. All right, number 60. Again, another artist I know, but song that isn't familiar to me. Stayed at number 60 from the week before, 4 weeks on the chart. This Is My Night, Shaka Khan. Don't remember the song at all, and I remember a lot from her back then.
Yeah, I don't know it at all. Number 59, down 30, although it peaked at number 2. I had a poster of these guys on my wall from this time period. Duran Duran, the Wild Boys.
Yeah, this is a really big time for them.
Yeah.
58, Night Shift from the Commodores, up from 62 the week before, only 3rd week on the chart, and one of 2 songs that's going to be about Marvin Gaye on this countdown, I noticed.
That's right. Yeah. And I do remember, again, when Casey Kasem or Rick Dees said something, I took it in, and I always remembered that. And this was the only hit that the Commodores had without Lionel Richie. Yeah. Number 57, another movie song. It wasn't a huge hit, but I remember hearing it, from The Falcon and the Snowman, starring Sean Penn and
Timothy Hutton.
That's right. David Bowie with the Pat Metheny Group. This Is Not America. This week it's up to 57 from 65. This would crack the top 40, but it wasn't a huge hit, but I do remember it.
Yeah, I loved it. Loved that movie too. Even being 12, I remember just trying to take all of it in. But that was the right time for it here.
Oh yeah.
So, 56. I'm embarrassed to say I don't know. I know Scandal featuring Patti Smythe, but I don't know Beat of a Heart. It is up from number 64 the week before, 3 weeks on the chart. I don't recognize the song.
I vaguely remember hearing it. Yeah, I vaguely remember hearing it. It's funny because you'd think you've heard more songs from her than you actually have because
Yeah.
she had such a distinctive voice. Um, Number 55. This was a song I liked. I don't hear it much anymore. It was from Heartbeat City, which had been out for a while at this point. This was kind of a slower song. The Cars. Why Can't I Have You? This is up 66 to 55 this week.
Fifth single off that album too, because
Oh yeah,
I remembered Hello Again and saw the video for it many more times than I did this one.
yeah.
So, Born in the USA at number 54, Bruce. Down from 27, so kind of a big drop for this one. Peaked at number 9, 14 weeks on the chart.
Number 53. I'm not so sure this song cracked the top 40 in the States. It was kind of controversial at the time. It was a big hit in Canada. I remember seeing this video a lot. Bronski Beat and Small Town Boy. It's up 3 this week to 53.
Yeah, again, heard of them is the most I could say back then. Number 52, got Jeffrey Osborne with The Borderlines, up from number 57 the week before, 4 weeks on the chart. I remember Jeffrey Osborne primarily for On the Wings of Love. So
Yeah, I don't
Borderlines.
know this. I don't recognize this particular title. Now, this next one's interesting. I had to look this up because I remember this being a bigger hit. It must have just had a momentary drop because this did end up being like a top 10 single and I think her last major hit single. This is the other song about Marvin Gaye. It's Diana Ross and Missing You. It's holding at 51 this week. It says the peak position was 46, but I thought, really? And I looked it up. No, it must have, I don't know, it must have had a fluctuation in radio stations playing it, not playing it. I don't know what it might have been, but there you go.
Yeah, I had that one stuck in my head the minute I saw the title. I'm like, now that one I remember. So it definitely got more play than that. I'll give you
Yeah.
that. Number 50, as we continue the Phil Collins takeover of the entire decade. This is actually the debut, second highest debut, I think, in this chart. One More Nights, first week on the chart. And this would eventually go to be his second number one after Against All
Yeah.
Odds being his first.
I actually see two above this. This is a big week for big debuts, but they're all
Oh,
strong
there it is.
records.
Yep, you're right.
Just actually last week, my wife and I watched that really good documentary on Phil Collins that the Drumeo channel did. Really
Yeah.
good stuff. Yeah. I mean, this was the period where like you couldn't go a half an hour without hearing Phil Collins on something, right? Whether it was, we're going to hear from him again on this chart too. um, Number 49. It's a classic song. It's the only really good song this band had. But it's great. I still hear it once in a while. Autograph and Turn Up the Radio. It's up 5 this week to 49. And it hit number, I want to say 32 or 33 in an era where songs this quote unquote heavy often didn't. So,
Yep.
but yeah, it's an anthem. And I've said this many times. If Kiss had gotten hold of this song in the 80s, it would have revived their career. Because this always, the vocals on this have always kind of reminded, I could hear Paul Stanley singing it.
Yeah, it's a good call. I could hear that. 48, Temptations with Treat Her Like a Lady. Obviously know them, don't know the song. Up from 50 last week and 9 weeks on the charts so far.
Yeah, and a jump of 2 makes me think this is kind of where it peaked. But to be honest with you, I wouldn't have guessed the Temptations would have had a song that charted this high in 1985, by 1985. So there you go. Here's, probably one of the only, maybe the only Canadian artist in this countdown, but he was on his way to global domination. Bryan Adams with the second single from Reckless Somebody. It's up from 59 to 47 this week. I think this song would peak at number 11.
Yeah, sounds right. And yeah, we will definitely see him again. And number 46, down from 32 the week before, Do What You Do, Jermaine Jackson. I do remember this. This got a lot of radio play. Says it peaked at 13, but it spent some time on there. I think it's 16 weeks on the chart. So
yeah,
I
remember this. I
right
remember
now.
this song too. I seem to remember the video as well. Number 45. This would have been, not counting Dancing in the Street. This would have been his, I think, biggest song as a solo artist. Mick Jagger with Just Another Night debuts at 45 this week.
Yep. Video with Ray Dawn. It actually introduced me to Ray Dawn Chong. I'm like, who is that? And then I find out it's Ray Dawn Chong.
I believe Jeff
Yeah.
Beck on guitar, I think, on this.
Yep. Yep. 44 down from 31 the week before. We Belong. Pat Benatar, 16 weeks on the chart. Another one where that I almost pictured it having even more time on there because this was another song that was absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, peaked at number 5. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. You think peaked at number 5, but like Sarah and I did, we did so many 1984 episodes last year. There was so much great music coming out. Some weeks were just too crowded. You have to wonder what was 4, 3, 2, and 1 that week. Any other week, it might have been number 1. You don't know.
Yep.
Number 43. I mean, she was unstoppable, and this was her nickname, the Material Girl, Madonna, debuting at 43. So, yeah, she was going places.
But I did look this up, and this spent 2 weeks at number 2 eventually, but held off by Can't Fight This Feeling and One More Night. So it didn't go to number 1.
There you go. Yeah.
Bit of a shock. Save a Prayer, 42. Save a Prayer from Duran Duran. This is the arena live version.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Up from 53 the week before, second week on the chart. And originally, it was not released as a U.S. single, by the way. I did not know that. I had to do some digging for that.
I didn't know that.
82 off Rio. It was not a U.S. single. Video from Russell Mulcahy, however, they combined it with shots from Arena and released as a single, and it flew.
I can't believe they would have gone, spent all that money filming, they did Rio and Hungry Like the Wolf and then not release it as a single in the US when it was out. But this is when I remember hearing this song. It was because of the live version. Now, this next song is surprising to me because we're at 41. Like we're at a point where these are pretty well-known songs. I don't know the artist or the song. John Hunter and Tragedy, up 2 from 43. I have anybody out, in the comments, anybody know who is this? Who is it? Never was he in a band? Like what's going on here?
Here's to you, John Hunter.
Yeah.
Number 40, another one of your favorites. High on You from Survivor, up from 47 the week before. It's only third week in the chart, so it has plenty of time to keep going up and does.
Yeah. Ear candy. Complete ear candy. I vaguely remember this next song too. I don't think I knew who it was at the time because I would have heard all by myself on the radio, but I wouldn't have known who sang it. Eric Carmen, I Want to Hear It From Your Lips. It was not a very big song. It wouldn't have got much higher than this, 39, but I do remember hearing it.
And another one where I'll embarrass myself, number 38, the Ooh Ooh song from Pat Benatar, up from 42 last week, 4 weeks on the chart. Complete mystery of a song to me. No clue.
Vaguely remember. It's very fast. And the chorus is basically, ooh, like that's why it's called the Ooh Ooh song. Yeah. I remember this next song quite much anymore, but because this is when I was listening to the radio, this is one of the first Billy Joel songs I remember hearing a lot. Keeping the Faith, which was like what, the 6th single from an Innocent Man. 2 years down the road, he's still spitting out singles. Amazing. And I don't think it charted that high, but I really like the song. I remember the video. It's like a courtroom and he's on trial. And this week's at 37, up from 46.
Yeah, absolutely. But probably one of my favorite Billy Joel songs, if not my favorite Billy Joel song there. Weird, corny video, like you said. Yeah. Number 36, Naughty Naughty from John Parr, up from 40 last week, 9th week on the chart. So I don't think it's got too much farther to go. Another reissue. This one had come out a couple of years before, and then they reissued it again. It eventually peaked at 23. Or no, this was the first time this was its first time on the chart. After St. Elmo's Fire hit, they re-released it.
I remember hearing this song on the radio a lot more than its chart position would say. And I also remember this, and it's never gotten out of my head, that somebody said when they first heard this, they thought this must be the new Foreigner song. And then I got thinking about it. Yeah, he does kind of sound like Lou Gramm. And I wonder if they approached him the first time Lou Gramm left, because he could have sung that stuff. But anyway, number 35. Now, this song was controversial. Now it's pretty tame, but at the time it was very controversial. But everybody knows it. Frankie Goes to Hollywood and Relax. It's up 3 this week, 35.
Yep, I remember the video because of another movie song, as a matter of fact, from Body Double, Brian De Palma, Craig Wasson, Melanie Griffith movie. So that was my exposure to it at the tender age of 12.
Yes.
34, Only the Young, Journey, up from 36 to 34. This, I know it and I remember it, but I was big on Frontiers.
Yeah.
So for some reason, this didn't hit as hard for me.
Although this was supposed to be on Frontiers,
No kidding.
as was one of my favorite Journey songs, "Ask the Lonely." They were
Ah,
both left off the album. That's when they were recorded at the Frontier Sessions. They were left off the album in favor of "Troubled Child" and "Back Talk," which Frontiers is my favorite Journey album, so I've got no problem with that.
same here.
But both of those songs landed on soundtracks. "Ask the Lonely" was on Two of a Kind in '83, and this song is from the Vision Quest
Vision Quest.
soundtrack. And there's also a very touching story about a young kid who was a Journey fan and got to hear the song before anybody else did, before he died. Of it's on there behind the music. But anyway, this ended up being, I think, a number 9 song, but there was no video for this. This, I don't know, this might be the first Journey song I ever heard. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's just the age I was at. I'd heard "Oh Sherry" and another song we're going to get to. This might be the first Journey band song I remember hearing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, number 33. I remember this one. I'd forgotten about it, but the title's very distinct. So you either know it or you don't. Kind of an R&B ballad for a culture club. Mistake number 3. And I would say this is where it peaked at number 33. It's holding this week.
Yeah, I thought I remembered every single of theirs from back then. And again, even when I looked it up, I'm like, how did I not know this? So that one's on me, I guess. 32, Lover Girl from Tina Marie, up from 39 the week before. Rick James collaborator and Barry Gordy protege, right?
Yeah, yeah. She passed. She died quite young. She died about 15 years ago, sadly. Number 31, I'd forgotten about this song, but I do remember it. Peaked at 14. Ray Parker Jr. Song's called "Jamie." 31 this week, down from 16.
Yep. And then this one came as a shock to me. Number 30, Private Dancer, off the album of the same name. Tina Turner, up from 35 last week. And Mark Knopfler wrote this. I did not know that.
Yeah, he did. And I can't imagine when you hear the phrasing. I guess I can hear it, but I don't know how he thought he was going to record it. It makes no sense for a man to sing it. But yeah, it's I can't remember how high this got, but I certainly remember hearing it a lot.
Yeah, and another Jeff Beck solo, by the way, too. We're seeing these all over the chart this week.
Yeah. Number 29, I really like this song. This was a fun song. It wasn't as successful as "Sea of Love," but I don't think it got much higher than this. The Honey Drippers and "There's Good Rockin' at Midnight."
Yeah, I actually like this one more than "Sea of Love," but I also liked amped up songs for this time frame too, so it makes sense. Now, surprisingly, after that statement, I'm going to eat those words with number 28, "Tenderness" from General Public, up from 30 last week, 13 weeks on the chart at this point. Very popular here in the U.S. I just never got into it. I don't know why.
I remember the song. It's very, 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 very poppy. But again, it still takes me back. So it's one of those things, I wouldn't listen to it, but I do remember. Now, the next one's interesting. I just heard the song on the radio the other day. It's the first time I'd heard it in years. It was a cover, and I believe the group that did it was called The Brains.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cyndi Lauper, "Money Changes Everything," up 1 to 27 this week.
And the lesson I learned from this one, I didn't realize it's Rob Hyman from the Hooters playing his Hooter in the solo.
Oh yeah, he's all over. You listen to "Time After Time"; it's practically a duet with Rob.
Yeah,
they're all over. They're like the backing band for this album for the most. The Hooters are to Cyndi Lauper what Toto was to Michael Jackson.
I was just gonna say the exact same thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
Number 26, another song I absolutely love. Can't get enough of this album anyway. "Too Late for Goodbyes" from Julian Lennon, second single off the album a lot. Up from 37 last week and 3 weeks on the chart so far.
Number 25, probably one of my favorite songs of all time. It's a car staple classic. I may or may not have hurt myself trying to sing it. Bryan Adams and Run to You peaked at number 6, and this week it's down to 25. This was one of 6 hits from the Reckless album. This was the first one.
Yep. Number 24 is Frisco Jones himself from General Hospital, Jack Wagner, with his sole appearance in the top 40 with All I Need, which is down. Ooh, he took a dive on this one from 11 last week down to 24 this week. But 17 weeks on the chart, so it had staying power.
Yeah. When I hear that, this just makes me think of that winter for some reason. I don't know why. Peaked at number 2, though. Big song.
Yeah.
Just didn't have a lot of staying power on the charts. Speaking of classics,
yes.
number 23. It's only up 1, but man, I don't know where this peaked, but this was a song I remember well. Morris Day and the Time and Jungle Love.
End of Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. I was a big Kevin Smith fan anyway.
Oh yeah.
But when they broke into this, it could have been a bar fight. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was just fantastic energy. What a way to close a movie out.
And I still, $15, little man. I love Kevin Smith. Yeah. Right on.
And I love Jungle Love even more than I love The Bird, and I really love The Bird too. So, all right, 22, Love Light in Flight from Stevie Wonder, down from 17 the week before, had 11 weeks on the chart.
This was another one from the Woman in Red soundtrack. I vaguely remember it. Awkward title. This would have been hard for a DJ to say. Number 21, speaking of Ray Parker Jr., he wrote this song.
Yep.
Up 4, New Edition with Mr. Telephone Man, a very, very young Bobby Brown, a prepubescent Bobby Brown.
Yeah, something wrong with my line.
Yeah.
All right. Number 20. Now this is my favorite song on this entire chart.
Awesome. This is a great
Misled
song.
from Kool and the Gang. Up from 21 the week before, but 12 weeks on the chart so far. What an awesome, awesome song. Oh, love it.
It's great. It's got the electric guitar. Dun, dun,
absolutely.
dun, dun. Like
JT as cool as ever.
Yeah.
Horny 80s video with a knockoff of Raiders of the Lost Ark and bad special effects. Everything I love about 80s music is right here.
Yeah, it's a great song. It doesn't get enough recurrent play in my opinion.
Agreed.
Number 19. Now, I got to say, if someone were to say, give me what's the best example of Steve Perry as a vocalist, I would say listen to Foolish Heart, because I think he's absolutely flawless on this. I think it only peaked at 18, but I love this song, and this is one you will hurt yourself if you try to match this. But it's at number 19 this week.
Yep. Number 18, Midnight Star with Operator, a complete mystery to me. I know who Midnight Star are, but the song, total mystery. And all the way at 18, 11 weeks on the chart, I think it peaked here.
It's so weird. You'd think that you just know it, but I'm confused because there was Midnight Star, there was a band called Five Star, and then there was Star Point, and they all had hits or minor hits around this time, and I can't remember who's who. And yeah, this sounds like just by the fact that I was actively listening to the radio, and whether or not the top 40 station I listened to had this in rotation, they still played the countdown every Sunday afternoon. So the not knowing a song that peaked this high at this time, that's a mystery to me. I don't get it. Number 17, this was a big comeback song. I definitely remember this. Yeah. John Fogerty and the Old Man Down the Road. One of the only times I can think of where an artist got sued for sounding too much like themselves.
1970s Run to the Jungle. And first printing, I might add. And how do we know that? Because it's Zans Can't Dance, not Vans Can't Dance, which, by the way, actually is my favorite John Fogerty solo song, is Zans Can't Dance.
If you can find the CD with that on it, that's a real coup. The Target CD that...
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. Try to find the CD version of that. Yeah, cool. Number 17 this week.
Yep. Number 16, Can't Fight This Feeling from REO. Now this says peak position of 16, so it's got to be.
So what's going on here, Paul? This when it's climbing, it's the peak position so far.
Right. Thank you.
It took me a while to figure that. I'm like, that's not right.
Yeah, I got locked on that for a second. Yeah, we already know it's heading to number 1. 16 is up 10 from 26 last week.
Number 15, I really like this song. I think they should have picked a different name, because Jufria if you don't hear somebody say it, what the heck does that even say? But of course, Greg Giuffria from the band Angel and later of House of Lords. This was the most successful song of any of those bands. This is where it peaked, number 15, Call to the Heart, featuring vocals of David Glenn Isley, who was very often mistaken for Steve Perry because he had a similar set of pipes. I think this is a really good sort of poppy hard rock ballad, I guess you could call it. And it's a shame that it, they couldn't follow it up with anything that charted this high, but I think this is a gem of a song.
Yeah, agreed. Number 14, Sugar Walls, Sheena Easton, one of the Filthy 15.
Naughty, naughty, naughty. Yeah, from the pen of Prince.
I was Alexander Nevermind, otherwise
Yes.
known as Prince. Yep.
Yeah. What? Yeah, that was his pen name for that. What did he call himself for Manic Monday? He gave himself another pen name.
I don't remember.
Feel like I should know it, but my mind's been clogged from too much school over the years, so it's pushed all the important stuff out. Number 13. Whoa. The beginning of his solo career. Now, it got off to a bang. The song hit number 3, but he didn't have a successful solo career for, I'm sure, as long as he thought he was going to. David Lee Roth and California Girls. That's a big jump this week, 23 up to 13.
Now, I can't even say the name of this song without getting it stuck in my head.
Oh,
It's
I
just
know.
how much we heard it. At number 12 from Ashford and the Simpsons, Solid. Solid as a rock.
Yeah.
Up from 14 weeks on the chart.
Yeah. It's fun. Number 11, another huge movie song. And again, this was probably when I first heard that there was a band called the Eagles. I didn't
Same
know.
here.
Glenn Fry, The Heat Is On from Beverly Hills Cop.
Yep. And number 10, Prince and the Revolution, yet again on the chart. I Would Die For You, down from number 8. Only 9 weeks on the chart at this point. So 9 weeks on the chart, and it's down from 8 at number 10 right now. So just flooding the chart at this rate.
I'm thinking this week, or I'm thinking at this time, like the label was just pulling promotion on one single in favor of another because they just kept coming.
And they kept going all the way up. Exactly.
Yeah. Number 9. This was number 1 for a few weeks in a row. So last week was a 7. Now it's down to 9. Madonna with Like a Virgin.
Yeah. And number 8, I did not realize until I was today years old when I found out that in the music video for this next one was not only Bronson Pinchot from also in Beverly Hills Cop, I might add, but Gary Berghoff, Radar from MASH, is in the music video for the Neutron Dance from the Pointer Sisters at number 8, up from number 10 last week. I had no clue until I watched it today and had to fact check myself.
I remember the video, but I don't remember.
Radar's the one doing this with them as they're doing the Neutron Dance towards the end of the video.
That's hilarious.
Mind blown.
And I also, it's hard, anytime the Pointer Sisters are mentioned, I also have to mention this. Did you know that the Sesame Street pinball song,
8,
the
9,
Pointer
10,
Sisters,
11,
yes.
12.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Number 7. Oh man, they're like, I remember these songs and I remember these videos. This was a silly video. They're up on a roof and there's smoke. And Daryl Hall, John Oates, Method of Modern Love, up 2 to 7 this week.
Yeah, and the rest of these we're going to be hearing in our head rent-free forever. Number 6, down from 4 last week, You're the Inspiration, Chicago, peaked at number 3, but what an amazing song. And I did not realize that I had to see Peter Cetera wearing a Bauhaus shirt.
I was
How
just
weird was that?
I remember years later, someone pointed, I think it was, they were interviewing, who was the singer in Bauhaus? Peter Murphy.
Yeah.
And they said, did you know? And they cut to that, and he I can't remember if he didn't know at that point, or he just, somebody pointed that out to him, and he was just like, what?
Exactly.
Of all the, like, always more to these guys than you think. Number 5. Oh, this is such a great song. It's to me, this song is held up very well. It doesn't age. Don Henley, The Boys of Summer, up 1 to number 5 this week.
Yeah, my second favorite song in this countdown.
So the other Eagles version I was made aware of this week.
Oh yeah,
or at this time, right?
Yeah.
And people are like, "How did you not hear the Eagles?" My parents didn't listen to a lot of popular music. I didn't have any older siblings. I'd never heard of them.
Yeah, I knew Don Henley for Dirty Laundry. That was it.
I
So
think it was around this time that I put two and two together because that
yeah,
still got a lot of recurrent. I'm like, oh, that sounds like the same guy. So again,
exactly.
it was all learning, right? Learning all
Yeah,
this stuff, just taking it in.
gotta start somewhere. Hell, Paul McCartney. My first exposure to Paul McCartney was Take It Away. So believe me, I get it.
Do you know what? Mine very well could have been Ebony and Ivory. I don't know. You can't help the age you are, right? I
Yeah,
mean, the first time I ever heard "Let It Be" was the Sesame Street version, "Let Her Be,"
yeah.
by the
Wow.
Beatles.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Although I do remember the Beatles cartoon. I did watch it as a kid, but I never put two and two together.
I, I I knew there was a Beatles cartoon. I think Much Music used to rerun it for a while. Now maybe I'm getting that mixed up with the Yellow Submarine movie. Anyway, I
Yeah.
digress.
All right, number four, another absolute 80s staple. The video doesn't get any more 80s than this.
Yeah,
Loverboy from Billy Ocean, up from number five last week to number four this week, 11 weeks on the chart so far. Man, I
yeah.
love this song.
This song was a co-write from Mutt Lange, who collaborated with Billy Ocean a few times. And this video was like total Star Wars, like total adventure movie from the '80s. Yeah, great song.
Yeah.
Um, Number three. I mean, this is probably one of the '80s songs that has the most staying power because it shows up in TikToks and Vines, and you got Seals playing the saxophone. uh, Wham! Careless Whisper. Of course, this was billed as Wham featuring George Michael, probably a prelude to his, this guy's going to go solo. It's holding at number three this week, and I don't know if this is where it peaked. It might have been based on what else is here, but I don't know. We got top three songs are all holding this week, by the way.
Yep. Number two, the first, to my memory, the first time that Phil Collins was involved in a video about making a video, but far from the last.
Yeah,
Duet with Philip Bailey from Earth, Wind, and Fire. Easy Lover, again, like he said, staying at number two, 12th week on the chart. What a great song. What a great video.
what a perfect radio song. Like when this comes up, you just want to turn it up. You want to air a drum. You want to sing along. You can't decide whether you want to sing the falsetto or if you want to try Phil Collins' part. It's
Yep.
so good. Daryl Sturmer's guitar solo is good. Nathan East, who co-wrote the song, bass is great, and then Phil's drum track is fantastic on this song. I mean, it's one of those songs where if you just heard the drums, you'd know
Yep.
what it was. Dun, 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 dun.
I still do the foot choreography when I'm listening to it from
Yeah,
the video. It's ridiculous.
yeah, yeah. You're right. This is. Yeah, he's made a few videos about making videos, hasn't he?
Yep.
I can think of at least three right from around this time because he did "Don't Lose My Number" and he did "Take Me Home."
Throwing it all away with
Right?
Genesis.
Yes. Wow. There's a, wow. That was a trope. I didn't even know it was a
Yep.
trope. uh yes, and the number one song. It's holding this week, and this song still gets a ton of play today. Of course, it's Foreigner. I Want to Know What Love Is. This is the first song I ever heard from Foreigner. I had no idea that they had guitar in their songs because I heard this song and then I heard That Was Yesterday, which I absolutely adore. But
That's
when
my favorite Foreigner song.
but when I first heard Jukebox Hero and like Dirty White Boy, I'm like, this is the same band.
Yeah.
This is so cool. So there you go, folks. Man, we just had a ball going back in time 40 years. I really want to know which of these songs out there in the comments, like the Midnight Star song, which of these songs do people have vivid memories that Paul and I blanked on that we just have no memory of? That one throws me because it's number 18, and I feel like I should have known a song, liking it or not, that would have charted that high. But there you go. I am sure, Paul, that we'll be doing this again because this was a lot of fun. And don't forget, you can catch Paul on Rush Fans. And man, I haven't been on at the Dog's Age. I got to do something about that. But
Yes.
that's a great bunch of people over there, and but yeah, we'll do this again, and we'll definitely there'll be more charts or chart episodes such as this. I want to thank everybody for watching this edition of Tim's Vinyl Confessions, and we'll see you later.